So with Halloween coming up this week, I thought I'd tell you a couple stories that I've experienced in my real estate career over the years that tie right into this week. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you may have heard the story I'll tell at the end of the video, but I don't think I've told the first story yet. So let's get into it. All right, so I climbed all the way up this mountain to give you a better view of Montana. So the least you can do is subscribe to our channel. And when you do, don't forget to hit the little bell and you'll be notified every time we make a new video about Montana. Both of these stories took place back in the days of the foreclosures. And the first one happened where when you got a foreclosure, they would just give you the address and you'd go out there and find out if anybody was still living there. And if they were, you'd offer cash for keys, they called it. You'd kind of help them out. Obviously, they were in trouble since they just lost their house. So the bank would give them some money to help find a rental or help move out. So anyway, I went out to this one house and there was a guy still living there, and we did the cash for keys, and then he gets a couple weeks to move out. So when I came back at the end with the money, I was just kind of walking around the house with him to make sure he got everything out of there. And we were talking, and I just said, hey, now that I'm going to try and sell this place, is there anything I should know that, as an agent, I should tell people about? And he looks at me and he goes, well, the place is haunted. And I was like, what? Why did you tell me that? In Montana, and that was what the video I did earlier was about, we have a stupid law here where if a death occurs in the house, unless the house caused the death, you don't have to disclose it. So in this particular case, it sounded like he was mad at his agent that he bought the house from because they never told him about this, but the lady before these people bought it had died in the house. And now it sounds like, the neighbors had seen her ghost out in the yard, he told me, and his wife had seen the ghost walking around in the house while she was there. But the good news was they said she was friendly. But anyway, it kind of put me in a dilemma because I'm not supposed to disclose that, but I know that some people would be disturbed by that and probably wouldn't want the house, whereas some people would. And that's why I think the law in Montana is so goofy that I don't know how something like that couldn't affect the value of the house to somebody that is freaked out by things like that. So as I sold the house, because it was Bank of America and they didn't even know where this house was, basically, I would let the other agents know that, hey, I'm just telling you that this is what I heard. Obviously, I never saw it. I went over there a couple times to check on things while it was empty. I never saw the ghost, but it was always in the back of my mind that something may happen. But anyway, I did tell the other agents, and someone did end up buying it, and I have not heard if they ran into the ghosts or not, but that was the first story I had that involved ghosts here in Montana. The second story is the one I did a video on a couple years ago, and I named it The Worst Law in Montana because, like I said a minute ago, I just think that after you hear this story, you tell me, leave in the comments what you think about this law, because this was another one, foreclosure situation. I was working with this older lady whose husband just had to go into a nursing home, and they ended up selling their big house out of town, and then she wanted to move into town closer to him where he needed to be. And so she was downsizing, and we were looking at a bunch of houses, and we came upon this one that was a foreclosure. And at the time, that was pretty normal. There were a lot of foreclosures around, and I didn't think anything about it. So when you walk into these foreclosures, they're very empty, and you can just tell, they've been cleaned out and sterilized. And, I remember this particular one would just, I think it was because looking back at, what I found out eventually, it seemed weird. But as we walked in there, there was a smoke detector the batteries were dead, and it was beeping, and it just kind of echoed because the house was so empty and just kind of creepy. But anyway, we go through the house and you look at all the rooms, and I noticed that there was new carpeting in the master bedroom. Well, again, I didn't think anything of it. You didn't know what the old owners had done, or why they replaced the carpet. It was kind of a newer house, but again, at the time, didn't think anything of it. So the lady ends up saying, yeah, this is a perfect house. This is what I want. And so we went back and wrote up an offer, and the offer was accepted, and we're moving along towards closing. And I decide I'm going to put an ad on Facebook just to promote my services. And I said, hey, I put this house under contract and it's going to sell within 30 days, use me, or something like that. Ads that every agent does. And so a couple days after I post that ad, I get this comment on the comment section. It was a Facebook ad, and a guy says, wow, I can't believe you sold that place after what happened there. And I was like, oh, all right. And so I responded to the guy privately. I said, okay, you baited me. I got to ask what happened there. So he's like, well, just Google it. And again, that was kind of when Google first came out, and nowadays it's a standard procedure. I Google every address, mainly because of what happened with this situation. But he went on to tell me that he was one of the neighbors, and that there was a murder-suicide in the house where the husband had killed his wife and then killed himself in the master bedroom. So that explained the new carpeting and why there was new paint, and the master bedroom looked like it had been remodeled for whatever reason. Well, now I knew the reason. Well, now I had the dilemma to tell the lady that what I found out. Before that, I called the other agent and I said, why wouldn't you have told me this? You knew it was an older lady, you knew the situation. And she said, well, Will, you know the rules in Montana. We don't have to disclose that. And I'm like, this is why people don't like agents. Yes, I know that's the law, but this is why. You have to disclose anything that's an adverse material fact, which means something that will affect the value of the house. Well, I don't know how, if she would have written in the comments of this house, hey, freshly remodeled master bedroom because of the murder-suicide that happened there, how's that not going to affect the value of the house? There's no way that doesn't affect the value of the house. But anyway, that is the law in Montana, so the agent didn't have to tell me. I mean, I think ethically she should have said something, but she didn't. So anyway, I had to go to my, buyer 3 days before closing and tell her what I found out. And she was a little disturbed, but she went and had her, priest come in and bless the house, and she ended up buying it. But I was so irritated with that other agent and myself for not figuring it out sooner. But again, these kind of things should be disclosed, in my opinion. Hopefully they'll change that law someday. But I thought these are the two stories that I figured fit in best with the week of Halloween.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.